85,
90.
90, 95.
We're playing for keeps.
We're on the market. Stay strong, sir.
Sold!
Hello and welcome to GPTV on Tuesday the 27th of May. My name is Philip Kingston.
And I'm Gary Pearce.
Gary, another busy week as we head towards the end of May with one last auction Saturday for May before we click into June on Sunday, the 1st of June.
You're right, it's run away fast, isn't
Really
it?
has.
June's already in the middle of the year, and before you know it, the year will be over. But
Trouble with June, Gary, is that on the 30th of June, it's the end of the financial year where one takes a moment to pause and reflect on yet another year where many promises were made and not necessarily everything was delivered.
Well, I think I'm not quite sure about that. It's a bit cryptic, but what I do know, Philip, we won't have a tax problem this year because it's been a bit of a lean year for real estate agents. I've got to say, and I've said it before, and I'm getting a bit of stick out there from a few people who have said, we're going to pass a hat around, and I said, do so. But good market. Just so little stock on the market, unfortunately, Phil. And this is a problem right across Australia. Yeah,
interesting because on one side of the coin, we've got a buoyant market.
Yeah.
We've just had an amazing weekend.
Yeah.
Stats to come in a moment with multiple bidders across a lot of property. Not everything. We need more stock to make more sales, to get the figures that we need to maintain the standard of living that we somehow aspire to or had a number of years where it went pretty well. So we bought boats and holiday houses
didn't we, though?
and
Planes.
apartments all over the world. And we set ourselves up for a standard of living that was very short-lived, Gary.
Well, you might have done all that. I just want to pay all of our bills, Phil, and have something at the end of it. But look, it is an interesting time because the market is good. We've had a great weekend, Phil. We sold 24 from 27.
89%. While we're talking, please get those towers up.
Industry average 69%. Can we hear the boast music, please?
Oh, yeah.
We've done it. There it is. Go Magoo, we've done it again. So pretty good, Phil. And some really exciting auctions out there too. Some of the things really fire. There's a few explosions or volcanoes. In terms of some of the competitive auctions we'll talk about. But first,
volcano, viewers, just for those of you that need to go back a number of years to get the lingo right. A volcano is an auction where you have multiple bidders where the property and the competition takes the value of that property so far in excess of the reserve that it's not funny.
Yeah.
That's a volcano.
Yes.
A property selling at reserve or thereabouts is just a sale. A volcano is where it just erupts.
What's the opposite of volcano? Would it be a pancake?
I don't know.
We've got a term for that, haven't we?
It's what it is, sucked into the vortex.
It might be a void.
The bottomless pit of crushing value.
Well, thankfully at 89%, Philip, we don't have many of those.
No, 89%. I know you were on a roll there. I'm sorry I'm interrupting you, but I do have a habit of that. But 89%, that's off the back of a number of weeks where we've been well over 80%.
We have.
And yet we have these clearance rates that are very high, and yet we still find ways to complain. So we are, just for the record, viewers, complaining about the volume. Having said that, if we had the volume, would we be getting the clearance rates?
That's the question, Phil. That's the question that no one's able to answer.
Do you know what? That's the question I'd like to have the problem of answering.
Yeah,
I'd love to have twice the volume so I could reflect on a Monday whether it was good, bad or indifferent. In the meantime,
I reckon we'd have a good answer.
In the meantime, if you are selling, high clearance rates at Gary Pearce and Associates, not so much in the industry, but we're not so worried about the industry as we are our own selfish little world.
Yeah, that's right.
But if you are selling with us, you've got a very high success that you will be sold. Interestingly, sorry, I know you're on a roll. I'm just going to finish. Of the properties, the 11% of properties that we did pass in, Gary, which was only 3, just so we know, I would expect that all 3 would be sold within a week, 2 or 3 of the auction.
Well, it'd be interesting to do an analysis of what becomes of those properties because we talk about the clearances, but we don't always follow up. And I know that last week, we passed in a few, and I think they're both sold, or at least, I don't know, all but one. Every year our clearance rate, Philip, around about 95, 96%, a very strong clearance rate.
And by the way, the remaining properties that we didn't sell are often withdrawn and put back into the rental market. Right. So it's not like we failed.
No.
Although, that's kind of sugarcoating probably the fact that if we didn't sell that 4%, you'd hardly call that a win.
Yeah, it's not a win, but
but I will repaint it not as a failure. Gary, some interesting results across the board. No doubt you're going to take us through some of them.
Well, if I can get a word in, and your dearly beloved Irene has spoken to you about this before, and I think, Irene, if you could have another chat to him, because it's hard for me to get a word. I'm on a roll. I've done some preparation. He just rolls up looking magnificent in his suit. Oh, do we have that photo, by the way, of all the boys? Because we had a bit of an industry night. I know you weren't there. We'll see if we can find that photo. I've got a shot of it, of the three agents of our three partners, directors, all wearing the same suit, Philip, unrehearsed, unscripted, unknown. And I think you're matching today, but you're a few days too late.
When you get suits and multiple for multiple people, you do get a discount if you get a walk into a supplier and say, look, I'll have that navy blue suit, but I'll have it across these 10 different body shapes.
Exactly right.
So
throw us in a 5 for, maybe 5 for 1 deal or whatever. Now, before we go into suits and everything, Phil, we've got the photo of those guys, but let me also have a look at this little photo, Phil, because you know what? When I say to you next time what's cooking, you can say to me, well, you can ask one of my my buddies, one of my compatriots, because there was a film calling Who is Killing the Great Chefs of Europe? Well, who is socialising with the great chefs of Australia?
Gary, when I go out, I'm generally surrounded by not only paparazzi, Gary, but fascinating people. And there it was I'm just having my normal Saturday night out where chefs not only want to please my palate, but they want to hang around with me. So
let's have a look at this photo now. See, now who are these? Who are these? Because the only person I know associated with cooking was the Hamburglar. McDonald's used to steal their hamburgers, right? There was a Hamburglar, and that's really about it. And of
you know what? When you go out for dinner, Gary, generally when somebody takes to your order, you have to undo the window.
I like to do that. Slide it right through. And
that's Gary's big night out. The waiter comes to take his order. He puts the window down. He says, I'll have 2 cheeseburgers. No, just the onions, cheese and meat, just so you know. It doesn't have the pickles, doesn't have the sauce.
I can't believe you remember that. That's crazy.
It's called the Cheeseburger Grill at Macca's. Onions, cheese, meat, none of the sauces.
That's it, you're right.
So
and definitely not the pickles.
With the fries and a Coke, and that's Gary's big night out. I, on the other hand, will hang out with famous chefs. That was a charity night.
Do you know they by the way? I think you're bluffing here. Anyway, these are famous chefs. You can work out who they are because Phil's got tongue tied and he's covering it up. I know him well. He's covering it up with, they're just famous chefs that I know really well. Anyway, it was a charity event. And by the way, you don't get enough credit for this. And I prefer to bag you than give you credit because I get a lot more pleasure out of it. But I have to sometimes give you credit because you do a lot of charity auctions. I find out about them afterwards. You go onto the radar and you give your services to great causes. And I've got to say, I love and respect you for that. I really do.
Do you know what?
And this was a great cause.
Can I just make I'll bang my drum for a moment.
And then I'll give you a hard time afterwards.
The DNA of our company has always been about charity and giving back. And the DNA of our business has always been about community. If you live in a great community, you've got to put in, and it's very easy for people to be critics or armchair critics where, they love to bag people for doing stuff. We, on the other hand, we just want to do stuff. And when you live in a community that is terrific, it is our responsibility, and I'm saying our collective responsibility, to give back. And it's actually easy to give back. It's just a bit of time, a bit of money sometimes, but if you put in time. So that was held at the St Kilda Town Hall. There is this young guy called Alex, and he set up a charity during COVID called Alex Makes Meals. And we might actually interview this young guy for the peer review
for some interviews,
because I get a call from somebody who says, "Can you do this charity auction?" I naturally say yes. Don't know what it is. I get briefed on the way to. Literally, I'm reading the bios on the way there, but I'm just really happy to give back. Anyway, I do the auction, and I'm now just off stage, and this young guy comes up to me. Looked like late 20s maybe, and he goes, "Oh mate, that was fantastic, thanks so much for helping out." And I said, "Oh yeah, and who are you?" And he says, "I'm Alex."
Wow.
And I got a shock because this Alex, this young guy, was the guy behind all of this. So viewers, if you read the peer review, and I certainly hope you do, and by the way, we can mail it to you. It's still hard form, old school. But we'll do something on him
good.
because he's certainly very worthy of bringing to everybody's attention.
Well, we did do another one for also a wonderful charity that gives out food for people who are in need. So, now, Phil, I want to talk a little
Do you
bit
know
about...
what? I'd love a charity to be able to ring me up and deliver flour drum.
Oh, yeah, that's good. Yeah,
I know you had a meal at the Flower Drum recently, Gary. Just a complete change of subject. But how was it? Because it's a Melbourne institution.
It's incredible, Philip. It's absolutely wonderful. We did have a special occasion and it was very, very nice.
Best Chinese food, Cantonese food in the world, I reckon.
Indeed it was. And we took out some friends who did something wonderful for us and it was wonderful for them and they enjoyed it.
Lovely.
Phil, let's move on because there's a few things to talk about. Firstly, the real estate industry now has been empowered and enlightened by the one and only, one of the most notable women in the world, of course, Kamala Harris.
Wow.
So Kamala Harris has come to
Australia.
Australia. She's spoken at AREC, the Australian Real Estate Conference, which you and I have been invited to speak at.
Yes.
But, we didn't want to take the stage away from Kamala, so we let her go and take our spot this year. But, of course, if you know anything about Kamala Harris, you know that she loves yellow school buses, Phil. Loves yellow school buses. Loves a Venn diagram as well. And is fascinated by outer space. It's just a few of the things. And, of course, she's had and was well known by some quotes such as, you can be unburdened by what has been, Philip. And I think agents need to be unburdened by what has been. And the other great quote that she said, it's time for us to do what we've been doing, and that time is every day. So I think those profound quotes, they are going to enhance the life of real estate agents in Australia. And I'm not quite sure how she gets to be in AREC to talk to real estate agents.
So shout out to AREC, right? Which is the premier real estate conference.
Yes.
It's been going, set up by John McGrath.
Yes.
It's been going probably for about 25 years.
Maybe at least.
It's held annually. It is a fantastic
event. Big event.
We've probably been 10 times.
We went in the early years. Loved it in the early years.
Absolutely. Fantastic event.
Yeah.
Having said that, right, it's the premier #1 real estate event in Australia.
It is.
So full kudos to that organisation.
Yes, indeed.
Now, having said that, if you were the vice president of the biggest, strongest economy of the world, the leading country in so many ways, and I'm a great, strong fan of the United States, but
as am I.
if you were the vice president of the United States and you ran for president, didn't get elected. No shame in that. No. Somebody's got to lose. There can only be one winner. So full kudos to her.
Absolutely.
Do you reckon within a month or two you'd be saying, I've kicked on when I'm flying to Australia to talk to real estate agents?
Well, I think there's a message. I think you're missing it because what did happen is that there was somebody else that spoke at AREC by satellite, not in person, spoke by satellite some years ago. And that person, who was at that stage just a successful business person and somewhat of an identity and showman, ended up becoming the President of the United States. So that person actually spoke at AREC. Not a lot of people know this, but Donald Trump did speak at AREC by satellite. It was going to come out. It was promoted. Oh, Donald Trump's coming out. And then it was, well, we're not refunding the tickets, but it's not quite coming out. But he spoke via satellite, Philip. And he actually spoke and he got paid, I think it might have been $250,000, Philip, but he spoke at the time. And when he was speaking via satellite, he said, I've got to go back to the party downstairs because there's a party on and I'm just speaking now while I'm having a break from the party. Not a bad way to enjoy a party.
Not a bad way to make $250 million.
Yeah.
The one thing, then, the final parting shot to this, of course, is that do you think Kamala Harris is going to go back to the United States now, and she's going to be interviewed on 60 Minutes, for example, right?
Yes.
And it'll be a post summary of, you were the second most powerful person in the United States. You ran for president. You didn't win. No shame in that. What have you been doing?
Well, I've gone on from there. She'll say, I've gone on from there to greater heights. I went and spoke to real estate agents in Australia.
In Australia.
And the Americans go, wow, how did you get that opportunity?
The Americans bless their hearts, right? They're not big at what's happening outside their country.
No, exactly.
They'd be going, they've got houses in Australia.
What, you talked to those Aussies? What did you have to say? Did you put a shrimp on the barbie? It's very, very funny. Anyway, well done to her. But maybe she's decided that because Donald Trump spoke and became president, maybe now because AREC has a perfect strike rate of American identities speaking and then becoming president. So she's followed it. So good on her. Phil, Sydney.
Yes.
Parking space just got sold for $600,000 in the city. $600,000 buys you a parking space in Sydney. What do you think about that?
Well, I think that it's probably proven over time to be good value buying car spaces.
Yep.
But mind you, if you do the maths right,
Yes.
$600,000, if you invest that at, call it 5%, right? That's $30,000 a year, which is $600 $600 a week, give or take. The person that bought that probably would say to themselves, I can't. Well, can you get a car?
Yeah.
I'm just trying to do the maths on that. $600 a week to park.
Yeah.
Wouldn't you be better off just getting a chauffeur to drive you to and from work? You'd probably be better off, and you wouldn't have to. Like, you could just sit in the back of the car. You could have your
On the other
cornflakes,
hand, it might be positively geared. Who knows how much rent you can get for that parking spot, Philip? Maybe you can get more rent than the repayment, and maybe it's a wonderful investment. And here we are making fun of it, being frivolous about it, and they're the smart ones.
$600,000 for a car space in the city building, and you know what? It doesn't have a bathroom,
No kitchen.
Doesn't have a kitchen.
No.
In fact, no air conditioning, no heating. All you get for $600,000 is white lines.
Do you reckon
and maybe a sign saying, "Do not park here. Owner paid $600,000."
Do you reckon you could build a little hut over the top or something and make it your home? You're in a good position. Anyway, that's what's going on. So if you want to, if you don't think Melbourne's good value, you might after that.
Correct.
Let's wrap up some of our auctions and talk about what's coming up this weekend. Because, Phil, we had a thumping weekend. We did have a great clearance rate. We had some exciting auctions, I've got to say.
23 out of 27, I think
24
it was.
out of 27.
24
Phil,
out of
don't
27,
undersell us.
89% clearance. We've done the Bose music, but it is a big number. It's a big volume, big clearance.
And not everything got to auction, Phil. The block of apartments on Hawthorne Road, you were clearing your vocal cords, getting ready to go for
getting ready for that.
And you didn't get a chance to because it got sold before. So well done to Alex from our Carnegie office.
I'm pretty sure that was our 140th block of apartments.
Yeah, we're starting to get the hang of this block of apartments,
Cool.
aren't we?
Yep.
Real estate altogether, I think we're starting to get the hang of the real estate game.
to understand it.
Lorraine Street in Bentley, Philip. Look, we love Bentley and we're doing so well there. Well done to Leon Gisenfeld and all of his team. But this was Jeremy Rosen's because all of our people sell everywhere, of course.
They do.
Jeremy Rosen's jumped over there and sold that property. It was expected to go in the low ones, Philip, and it exceeded that, well exceeded that, with as many as 6 bidders. So if you want to know what's hot, that was hot, Phil. That one was really hot. 2 at 160 Chapel Street was a cool apartment, Phil. I don't know, sometimes maybe 3 weeks is enough time because it was a short campaign. The vendor did not want the traditional 4 weeks, and it did really sell well within its range, which was 660 to 720. Phil, St Kilda Road, you went down to the building named after your family, Kingstown. Tell us a bit about that.
Yes, if only that was one of our family legacy properties.
Yes.
Unfortunately, it's not. That's spelled Kingstoun.
Oh, I thought your original name was shortened from Kingstown to Kingston.
Unfortunately. Anyway, it's a beautiful building. In fact, I reckon, personally, that's one of Melbourne's best buildings. Backs onto Faulkner Park.
Yes.
We absolutely had, I think we had 4 or 5 people bidding on that.
Yep.
Sold for a new benchmark price. Having said that, it is such an incredible building, worth every cent. I think those buyers will be very happy. Funnily enough, the people that were bidding for that property were probably early 50s.
Okay.
And somebody, this older woman came up to me at the end of the auction. She said, "We're so pleased those people bought it. They've brought down the average age in the building."
Is that right? It's got a youthful glow to it now. Is that right?
Correct.
Fantastic. Travasca Street, Phil, was something you auctioned at the end of the day. It was a beautiful looking home.
Lovely, lovely home. Sold it for one young couple to another young couple.
1.7, the price is disclosed. Phil.
Beautiful home.
Yeah, so well done to those. Phil, I was very, very busy on Sunday at Maysbury Avenue, Elstonwick, which had no less than 4 bidders, but a lot more interested than that.
Incredible.
It was amazing, and it was a record price for a 2-bedroom semi.
Are we declaring the price,
We
Gary?
can't, Phil, but
No.
it was quoted in the sort of low ones, but it sold
For
beyond,
well in excess of
beyond
that.
the
No
bid
doubt
ones.
It was on the market, sold for a premium over the top of the market.
The vendor was ready to the market, but
Yes.
we actually increased the guide, but still not enough for the popularity of that home. So well done to the buyers and sellers of that. Phil, I had a auction at 482 Hawthorne there was 2 bidders going for that property. Philip sold in its range of $1,050,000 to $150,000, and good to see you there, Gutty. And Gutty said to me, Are you going to say that I was around this weekend when you do GPTV? Gutty, of course, the chairman of our board, and he says, I want to know if it's on the market. I want to know where Philip is. I want to know what's going on at this auction. So, yes, a shout out to Gutty.
Put up a photograph of
Yeah,
Gutty,
we love Gutty.
one of our champions that comes to many, many auctions. And I do know that I reckon, and at some point in time, Gutty will work for our business.
We're going to find a role for you, Gutty. No problem. In fact, you could run the place, I reckon, with the knowledge that you've got of real estate. 61 Filbert Street, Philip. Now that was it's a bit of an emotional sale because it was owned by a builder. It was his last project. He bought it in the late 90s, Phil.
Yes.
And he didn't quite survive long enough to do the project, but it's been in the family since that for some 26 years or so.
Very strong result, I would have thought there,
and
Gary.
the vendor came out from overseas, Philip, to see the auction, and it was quoted 165 to 18, but lo and behold, it sold for significantly more than that, Philip, under intense competition. 25B Orong Grove, 25B Orong Grove, another vendor that came from overseas for that sale.
Yes.
And I've got a bit of history with that vendor because that vendor actually took my car for a test drive when I was a young person. Did you know the story?
I do know the story.
Took my car for a test drive, actually hit a tram, and then said, I really don't want this car anymore. So that was an interesting, that's the fun things. And then I saw her in a boardroom, she goes, do you remember me? I smashed your car. I said, yes, of course you smashed my Gemini.
So
1980s.
So when she listed this property, she owed us.
Yeah, she did.
That's
Exactly right. So thank you for contributing to the repairs of the car. But anyway, 25B Orong Grove. The price is undisclosed, Phil, but it was quoted 15 to 165 and sold for beyond that under competition. So well done. We've got a lot of auctions coming up and some beauties, Phil. We've got 34 auctions over 19 suburbs. Can we and shall we review them?
Let's jump into it quickly, I think.
Phil, can't wait for the weekend. And you boasted before how many blocks of apartments we've sold. You've got two more to add to that. One of those is in Dandenong Road and one's in Shirley Grove.
Gary, Dandenong Road, this is 10 one-bedroom apartments, 10 one-bedroom apartments with individual car spaces. This is already separate titles, strata titles, 760 square metres of prime land. That's about as good a block as you could ask for.
Great location.
But we move on from that one to literally across the road, apartments numbers 1 through 8 at 2 Shirley Grove, St Kilda East. That's another block of 8 apartments, also on separate titles with 8 car spaces. So you've got 2 beautiful blocks. And what a great opportunity.
We get to start our Saturday morning together, Philip, at 11B Charles Street. You're the auctioneer, and I've been involved with that property, and I'm in love with it. It's a beautiful home.
Gary, this is as good as it gets. 3 magnificent bedrooms, 2 beautiful bathrooms, a lock-up garage, everything that opens and shuts. That is the most beautiful home.
Now, while we're there, Philip, Leo Samuel is going to be part of our triple auction action at 10:30. He's going to be in Dandenong Road, Windsor.
Gary, this is a 3-bedroom, 1-bathroom, 1-car space apartment, extra large, wonderful location. Izzy Anstey and Leo Samuel have got the honours.
Music lovers, Phil, those that understand trivia of music would know Eau Claire was a great song by Gilbert and Sullivan. Phil, Gilbert O'Sullivan, and we've got a Clare Street McKinnon auction at 10:30am.
Gary, what a great 2-storey town residence this is. 3 bedrooms, 4 bathrooms, basement car parking for 2 cars. What an incredible property that is. What a great location. And that is being handled by Joel Sir and Kevin Huang.
4 auctions, Philip, at 10:30am. We're going to be in Barclay Street, St Kilda, with Morris Bitton.
And Lamore Herskovitz, 2 bedrooms, 1 bathroom and a car space. That's just great real estate and an extra large apartment.
We keep the Bayside groove moving, Phil, with Jeremy Rosens in Shelley Street, Elwood.
Nikki Janova's got the honours there of handling that property. What a beautiful looking building. 2 bedrooms, 1 bathroom, 1 car space, with a gorgeous and fabulous courtyard garden area.
And we got another courtyard apartment that you're auctioning at 11:30 at the same time in Hoffman Street, St Kilda East with Bernie Mell.
Gary, meeting also Daniel Peer there, Bernie Mell, 1 bedroom, 1 bathroom, 1 car space. That's a really good apartment in a fantastic area, together with a deck and a courtyard.
Leo Samuel jumping across Dandenong Road from his office into Malvern in Cressy Street with Mark Kirkham as the handling agent.
And Uddy Ignatius there, 2 bedrooms, 1 bathroom, 1 car space, and a fantastic courtyard garden. The courtyard's not necessarily on title, Gary, but it's for the exclusive use of that apartment.
I'm joining you in Brookville Road in Toorak for this wonderful property just off Toorak Village. I'm excited about this one, Phil.
Gary, what an extra large apartment that is, in a beautiful building, and literally walk to the Toorak Village or Hawkesburn. 2 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms and a car space.
We hit Brighton East for the second time on Saturday, Phil, at 12:30 in Union Street.
Meeting of Yves Samuel and Lydia Perry, 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms. That is a fabulous property with a garden and a lock-up garage.
Jeremy Rosens does his third auction out of, I think he's got 6 on Saturday in Parkside Street, Alstwick, a great address, meeting Vanessa McGlynn and John Sweepo at that one.
Gary, what an amazing apartment that is. 2 bedrooms, 1 bathroom and a car space. Vanessa McGlynn and John Sweepo are handling that, and that comes complete with a courtyard and a deck.
Double auction action, Philip, at 1:30. You can have a cup of tea while Graham Callan and I do our auctions. Graham's in Dandenong Road, Carnegie.
Meeting Rishi Thacker and Alex Stupa, 2 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, basement car parking. That's a fabulous property.
And I'm in Bentley, Philip, and we love Bentley, and we're so active there. I'm in Mitchell Street this time.
Meeting Lior Bar and Leon Guzenfitter, 2 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, a great courtyard garden and a car space.
4 auctions at 2:30 p.m. Jeremy Rosens is in Gardenia Road, Garden Vale.
2 bedrooms, 1 bathroom and a car space. Meeting Joel Sir and Reno Pablibor.
It's a beautiful looking home in Parklands Crescent, Brighton East. Philip, you're due to auction that 2:30 on Saturday.
4 incredible bedrooms, 3 beautiful bathrooms, a double lock-up garage, Gary, wraparound courtyard gardens, everything that opens and shuts, lots to love there.
I love this property in Rosella Street, Murrumbina, Phil, around the corner from where I just had an auction on Saturday that was successfully sold in Howe Street. This time at Townhouse 3 at 2 Rosella Street, Dizzy Wang and Christian DeFrace.
3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, a lock-up garage and courtyard garden area. Christian DeFrace and Dizzy Wang have got the honours there.
Hawksburn Road, South Yarra's a great address. Leo Samuel's going to be auctioning that at 2:30.
For Alex Stupa, who is selling this lovely 1 bedroom, 1 bathroom, 1 car space apartment.
We bring down the curtain at 3:30 with triple auction action. Philip, 48 Shepperson Street, or Shepperson Avenue, Carnegie, is your 3:30 auction.
Looking forward to meeting Graham Callan and Izzy Anstey there. That is 3 bedrooms, 1 bathroom, plenty of off-street car parking, a fantastic parcel of land. That is a wonderful, wonderful opportunity.
Very, very pretty facade. Centre Road in Bentley East is where the final auction at 3:30 is going to be. Simon Radolnik is the auctioneer.
Meeting Leo Yu and Leon Guzenfitter, 1 bedroom, 1 bathroom, and surprisingly 2 car spaces. So that's a complete package.
I love it when Leon, Leo and Leo all attend auctions, Philip, from the
Fabulous.
Sunday morning, we're kicking off at 10:30. I've got the auction honours for this lovely 1-bedroom apartment, very affordable, in Williams Road, Windsor.
Kerry meeting Daniel Michmacher and Jeremy Rosens there. 1 bedroom, 1 bathroom, 1 car space. Great location, close to everywhere.
Bernie Mel's auctioning at 5 at 141, or handling the auction at 5 at 141. Alma Road, St Kilda East, also at 10:30.
With Daniel Peer, that's a great apartment, a very stylish place. 2 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, a lock-up garage, another car space, fantastic courtyard, and a wonderful balcony. I love that property, and I really love that location.
I love that block too, Phil. GO1 677 Bluntly Road, Caulfield. Also happens at 10:30 a.m. on Sunday morning.
With Daniel Peer and Bernie Mel, 2 bedrooms, 1 bathroom, 1 car space, wonderful balcony. That's a really good apartment.
We've got 4 at 11:30, Philip. We're kicking off with Daniel Peer's auction in Dandenong Road. Simon Radolnik is the auctioneer.
With Bernie Mel, 2 bedrooms, 1 bathroom, 1 car space. Really love the architecture of that building. These are really large apartments, really good value.
I know we both love Palm Avenue in Caulfield North, one of the most tightly held streets, and what a great street it is. Phil, you're auctioning there at 11:30 a.m.
Looking forward to that, Gary. This is a perfect single-storey home, 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, double lock-up garage. It's what we call the perfect courtyard house. It all wraps around in a U facing the north, overlooking the garden and the swimming pool. Darren Krongold, Idan Gutman and the team will be there. Looking forward to that.
I'm very excited to be auctioning 43 Bent Street, Caulfield South. Daniel Peer has loved handling this property, Philip, with his team, and it's 11:30 a.m.
Meeting Arlene Joffe there as well. That's a fantastic 5-bedroom, 2-bathroom family home with a double lock-up garage. That's a house with everything.
Rosstown Road is where you'll find Nikki Janover and Jeremy Rosens at 11:30.
And Jessica Filipovic there. 1 bedroom, 1 bathroom, 1 car space. Walk to the fantastic Kunang Road. You've got all of the best facilities on your doorstep.
One of the finest apartment offerings on Sunday at 12:30 hits the market in Elwood. Bernie Mel's been handling that, and I'm the auctioneer, Phil.
Meeting also Daniel Peer. 2 bedrooms, 1 bathroom, 1 car space. Love that location. Love Elwood.
Orong Road, Alstonwick, Philip, is at 12:30, and you are the auctioneer for that one.
Meeting Ben Eisner and John Sweepo there. Gary, what an amazing property this is. This is 4 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, a double lock-up garage in tandem. That is solid, and the location there is unbelievable. I really like that property.
Named in honour of my beloved late mother, Philip Edith. We've got number 9 Edith Street. We've dedicated the 1:30 time slot for just this auction, and what a great auction
Meeting
it
Daniel
is.
Fisher and Kevin Huang there. 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, a double lock-up garage, plenty of car parking, but it sits on 715 square metres of prime land. So that is the most amazing property. I love that location too, coming off Ingerman. You can walk to everywhere you want to be. It's an incredible location.
Become a hot spot, that's for sure. Philip Freeman Street, we just sold a property there on the weekend, and now we're going back to auction number 7.
Back there, meeting Darren Krongold and Reno Pablo. 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, a double lock-up garage. That's a really good home, and we just love that location.
It's a beautiful home, solidly built by the builders who still own it. The family still own it, as I understand, Philip. 3 Seach Street, Caulfield South. I'm looking forward to meeting Daniel Peer and auctioning this home.
And
Phil.
Arlene Joffe, 4 bedrooms, 3 bathrooms, double lock-up garage, wraparound courtyard gardens. That's a beautiful home. Your own perfect parcel of land.
And Phil, scheduled for auction at 3:30 p.m. is this fabulous townhouse in Inkerman Road. Arlene Joffe's been handling that one with Daniel
Arlene,
Peer.
together with Daniel Peer, 4 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, double lock-up garage. I love that development. And again, that location's fantastic because you've got the Caulfield Park, you've got the tram in Hawthorne Road. You are absolutely epicentre Caulfield North.
I remember the excitement we had when that was being developed, that particular site.
Wonderful development.
Phil, there's another apartment coming up in Hewenden Road. We have sold a few in this block, 3A Hewenden Road. It's a great block of apartments. They've been very popular. And one more finds its way to the market, apartment 2 at 3A Hewenden
Gary,
Road.
that is fabulous. 2 really large bedrooms, a large bathroom, big entertaining areas. Those are the kind of 1960s, 1970s apartments. They're great value because they are extra large in size.
And we love Leeburn Avenue, one of the premium streets in Caulfield North. That's our final auction to review. Upcoming, Philip, a little preview, 23B Leeburn Avenue.
Gary, you've got to love this property. That's the property with absolutely everything.
Yep.
All of the bedrooms, the beautiful bathrooms. That is a home in an incredible address. So, make sure you look out for that one. 5 bedrooms, 4 bathrooms, a big property. Phil, that's a big wrap on GPTV. We've gone on a bit, but there's been a lot to talk about, I'll tell you what, it was a busy week that we wrapped up, and we've got a busy weekend coming up. And we've got a busy Thursday as well with 2 blocks of apartments. So it's all happening as we head towards June. Thanks for watching GPTV. I'm Philip Kingston.
I'm Gary Peer, and I'll see you next week with another co-host because he's going to be away. You deserve the break.
Thank you,
Thanks for
Gary.
watching. Cheers.